Hey guys, Matt here with Loon Outdoors. Today we're going to be tying the little intruder fly, little intruder style fly. In the vise we have a 25 millimeter Senyo articulated shank, Vivus 50D, and we're going to start by making connecting turns down the shank. Now on these shanks you do want to be wary of the cut points where they return. They will mess your thread up on occasion. So I like to put down a solid thread base first. Just kind of go back and forth, creating a really solid base with good tension for my fly to work with. Next up, we're going to use some Senyo's Intruder wire in blue. This is the size 6 or larger. It's a heavier duty wire, a little bit more stout. Great thing I love about this is it allows you to have your hook stay in the zone, meaning it doesn't drop out and away from your fly inside of like soft shoulders and other areas that if you're using like fly line backing or a braid, your hook would tend to drop below your fly on the swing. So you can see I'm trying to tag this in so that one side of the wire is on either side of the shank. I'm going to wrap forward, just ultimately securing this in, and I go back about 3/8 of an inch and connect that back in and just wrap until you're pretty bored, because if you hook a 20-pound coastal fish on a fly like this, you want that connection point to be pretty solid. You can glue it if you want. I've sent stuff all over the world and never had an issue, and I don't glue. But if you're into security, that could be another option. Next up, we're going to take some double pupil eyes. These are a size large. They're in hot pink, and they're going to help us get our fly down. This isn't a massive fly, so it'll have a good sink rate and get down in those buckets nice and quick on the end of some T14. So I'm going to use some hot pink, fluorescent hot pink ice dub from Hairline. It's ICE 133. We're just going to create a dubbing noodle with this, and this will be like a hot spot slash rear dubbing bump, just to help get our materials a little bit above that hook shank. And it's a pretty hardy dubbing ball. It doesn't have to be brilliant. Next up, I'm going to take like a kingfisher blue or a sky blue or a turquoise, whatever color you really want to call it. It's just fin raccoon. It's a nice, long, wispy material. A substitute, if you can't find fin raccoon at your local fly shop, could be something almost like a rabbit strip, although it'll have a much different, like, defined tail to it at that point. And I tie this in pretty long. I don't pull out too many of the guard hairs that you saw me kind of fiddling with it in the background there, because I don't mind that bulk. I want that big tail profile there. When this fly gets wet, ultimately that creates the like the end of the tail of this fly. You can see the hook's kind of pointed upwards right now because of the way it's situated in the vise. So I'm going to pull a dubbing loop here. This is a pretty healthy size dubbing loop, and we're going to use the ergo dubbing spinner to pretty much twist up the rest of this fly. I'm going to start with some more ice dub in hot pink, that fluorescent hot pink again, the ICE 133. And this is going to be a composite loop. This is Kingfisher Blue, ICE 199. So what's cool is with the composite loops, or however you want to call it, a multi-material dubbing loop, whatever you fancy, I can stack all of these materials, and what we're going to do is pick them up with the D-loop tweezer and insert them just how we want them. It's all built on the desk. It's kind of hard to show on camera. I apologize. But you'll see once we pick it up. We add all of these materials in a nice little line. And this is some laser hair, which is cool. But we'll put all these in a line, pick them up, and create this really cool looking fly. So laser hair is a really cool material. It's light, it's airy, doesn't hold water, it has a ton of movement behind it. You could also, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you could really use that for the tail as well. Also another cool substitute. And this is electric ice ripple fiber, and I'm not putting a ton of these fibers in, maybe like, 5 to 7 strands of each. It's just to add like a ton of depth and variance in the materials. So you can see I'm adding other colors. And off camera, what you can't see is that I'm laying these all down. Now these are a cool material, these voodoo fibers. They come in every single color of the rainbow. There is a blue-black version. For this fly though, one thing that I've found on my swing flies is that the clear black kind of blends into every colorway. So even if I'm using a secondary color like a blue black, if we're trying to blue fly, or an orange black if I'm tying an orange fly, I sneak in some of that clear black. This is going to be some smolт blue crystal flash. It's a pretty standard material, and its color code is KF20. It's a nice light airy color. So everything's kind of down below camera still at this point. Now we're going to take 3 colors of ostrich and just blend it all in there. So the more colors you get and the more depth that you get out of those variable colors, you're adding shading and highlights and lowlights to your fly, which is something that's kind of more of a natural feature. So I just kind of, I'm primping all of my ostrich to make sure I have those kind of cool, nice pointy ones in there. And we're going to go ahead and work from there. If your ostrich doesn't have like the most perfect tips and it's not, 100% the best feather you've ever seen, that's okay. So here you can see this massive, massive, crazy dubbing loop that we've picked up. And I just go ahead and wet my thread just a little bit. You could use some low-tack swax here too if you have issues keeping your materials in a dubbing loop and not sliding around. I find that with the 50D, or even say like the 100D Vivus, a good amount of tension on there, and you're in the money. So we're going to give that ergo dubbing spinner a couple solid turns back there, and I pinch really heavily behind the back of the dubbing loop so that all of the, let's just say like the inertia of the spin can be controlled by pressure in my fingers. So you can see like right now I'm just releasing that corkscrew and allowing that dubbing loop to become like basically a brush. So this is a great option for building brushes on every fly. I'm going to use the ergo comb. It's a really stiff bristled comb. It's aggressive, it pulls things, it's unforgiving, but at the end of the day, I don't want materials in there where I go and cast and, somehow there was like some stuff that didn't get stuck in there, just flies out all over the river. I mean, that's ridiculous. So next I'm going to take the ergo dubbing brush and brush out that front collar of dubbing, another little final spin, and we should be about ready to start palmering this big synthetic hackle that we've created. And all I'm doing here is I'm just pulling backwards. You can see that holographic ice dub is starting to come into play. It's getting in there. Something about that silver with blue, that nice light airy feeling look, it's really cool. Right now we're getting into the portion of the brush where I've put in that Senyo's laser hair, and now we're getting into the actual meat and potatoes with the ice ripple fibers, the voodoo fibers, and the ostrich. This stuff will look like a hot mess when you put on a dubbing, a dubbing loop of this magnitude. And that's okay. That's part of the game. It's never going to look 100% perfect right out of the gate. and that's fine. We have time to work on this fly and really comb it out again. So you can see, once I start combing this out, sometimes those fibers lay up underneath each other. And I'm going to really go ahead and just lock this down. Next up, this is a sky blue guinea feather, and I like guinea because it does have a very stiff stem. The barbule, which is the actual spotted spot on the feather, is very stiff as well. It provides it's like a hydraulic dam as you swing this fly, so it's not going to crush underneath the tension of the water as much as say a schlappen or something like that. So to allow and create like a small, like, essentially like a back eddy behind your fly, allowing all of those cool fibers that you've put in to pulsate, move, but stay inside specs for like a good profile. So we'll take a few wraps there. And I also greatly like the guinea because it is speckled and provides kind of a false sense of movement. Anything that's barred almost looks like it's moving in the water. So it's a really, really cool option for a feather. And you can see how rigid it is. It just kind of stands very proud up there, up front. We're going to do a few whip finishes, trim off, but you can see you just have this killer profile, tons of different materials and shapes kind of taking place in there. Hope you guys enjoy. Take care.